Week 8 comes to a close Monday night with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers visiting the New York Giants in the Meadowlands. Hello everyone and welcome back to another edition of Penn State Sports Night. I'm Lexy Leidlein, joined alongside Tim Rogers and Evan Lasek, and we're here to bring you the mid-season grades across the league. The season so far has been riddled with struggles like COVID cases and injuries, but that hasn't stopped some teams from standing out. Okay gentlemen, let's start with the NFC. Tim, what's your grade for the Green Bay Packers?
Thank you, Lexi. For me, we got the B+. And the only reason it's not higher is because of the losses they had. I mean, against the Minnesota Vikings team that's struggled very badly this year, and they got blown out by Tampa Bay. But besides that, I mean, Aaron Rodgers, no distractions this year. He's a man on a mission. He's ready to win the championship, and I think drafting Jordan Love kind of worked out for the Packers, but not in the way they kind of expected it to. As Aaron Rodgers, he's really playing on a different level. He wants another ring for himself.
Yeah, that Jordan Love pick, that definitely motivated him to the next level of his game. We thought he was going to regress at age 38, but he really stepped it up this season. So that brings us to the next team. I believe the Saints are one of the better teams in the NFC. It hasn't shown it. Let's put a little side note here. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are playing Monday night. That could change the outcome of the NFC. They are currently in first because of the tiebreaker, but if the Buccaneers win tonight, they'll be 6-2. Buccaneers have an aging Drew Brees. He's shown it a little bit. Michael Thomas is nowhere to be seen. Their offense outside of Alvin Kamara is very slow and sluggish, and their defense just has done just enough to keep them in games. But Brees has still played at a decently high level for how old he is and what he's had to play with. So I think New Orleans is still going to keep it up, and hopefully they don't drop more games. They've played everything very close so far.
Well, yeah, I mean, Drew Brees, he definitely hasn't been the same Drew Brees, but talking about people that have not been the same, we got the Philadelphia Eagles up here, and I know I got a lot of Eagles eyes on me right now. They're not really happy with me with the grade I gave, but I gave them an F because, I mean, the revision is just, it's something else this year, right? I mean, this team's 3-4-1 and they can make the playoffs. It's like, what do you mean? Carson Wentz, he's struggled. Doug Peterson, he's not really showing that he can be maybe the full-time coach that he thought they would be, but to me, if you're going to look at one bright spot, it's got to be Travis Fulgham. I mean, he's broke onto the scene, and he's looked absolutely fantastic. I mean, a guy, people thought that Jalen Reagor was going to be the guy. That hasn't panned out, so Travis Fulgham, though, I really like what he's been doing.
Yeah, I think F is a little mean. I would say like E- at the latest, but I like their receivers. They're very young core. Carson has to play the football that he played a few years ago. He's regressed. He showed signs where he can play at that level still, but with this young receiving core, I hope that they can keep using them and maybe figure something out as the season goes on. But the best team, in my opinion, for the NFC is the Seattle Seahawks. They are letting Russ cook. That is the main thing. He's not playing at an MVP level. I think he's the MVP frontrunner, and he's got guys like Tyler Lockett and DK Metcalf. Metcalf already has 750 yards on the season, and Lockett's not that far behind at, I think, 650. But when they're letting Russ cook, they are just demolishing teams. He is the second leading rusher. That is the one step back to their offense. They have no rushing attack whatsoever. Chris Carson is there, but not really that productive. So they are letting Russ do everything for this offense, and it is working out. Defense is the only reason teams stay in the game with Seattle. They're playing ahead all the time, but defense just lets teams creep back in. So they fixed that, and they're going to finish the number 1 seed in the NFC, I believe.
I think Russell Wilson helped his MVP case some more this weekend with the win over the Niners. And the emergence of DK Metcalf makes this Seahawks offense even more dangerous. But let's flip it over to the AFC. Tim, how are the Buffalo Bills looking this year?
I think they're taking over the division. I mean, I gave them an A- this year. I got a lot of friends who are Bills fans, and they're always riding me. I'm a Jets fan, so it's not really working out my way. But they really took over the division this year. I mean, everybody thought New England was going to be competitive. They really haven't. And, I mean, this Bills defense, it was very well known last year that they were one of the best defenses. I think they fell off a little bit, but they're still putting up dominant numbers. And I got to give it to Josh Allen. I mean, he has really taken that next step, and that was the big question mark for them. Can he take that next step? Can he improve? And he really has. He's been smart with the ball. He's made good, smart decisions. And if he can keep that up, I don't see why this team doesn't make a run in the playoffs.
Yeah, they definitely gave Josh Allen a weapon in Stephon Diggs. I really like that addition for them. He started off the season fantastic. He's off to a little sluggish of a mid-season, but hopefully that comes and goes, and he can just continue to play at that MVP caliber play we saw at the beginning of the season. But flipping it over to the Tennessee Titans, they're on a 2-game losing streak. I still like them a lot in the AFC South, mainly because there's not a lot of competition in the AFC South. King Henry has shown time and time again why he's the best running back in the NFL, in my opinion. That's, of course, Christian McCaffrey's out. So right now, King Henry is there. He is single-handedly carrying this Tennessee Titans, may I add, with Ryan Tannehill playing at a very good season so far. Only 3 interceptions and 17 touchdowns, 1,800 yards. But the young receiving core not giving him a lot to work with. It's clearly Derrick Henry's offense. And the defense, their secondary is pretty good. They're an aging secondary, but I think Tannehill needs to start taking more control of this offense, letting it run through him, and still letting it run through King Henry, but making sure that Tannehill can add on to that offense.
No, yeah, I completely agree. Let's see if they can get back to the championship game against the Super Bowl champions, who we're going to talk about here in the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, you always hear about the Super Bowl hangover, right? It's a big thing. They don't believe in that here in Kansas City. I mean, they have weapons everywhere, playmakers wherever you look on the side of the ball, offense, defense. They have them everywhere. Their receiving core is one of the fastest receiving cores I've ever seen in my life. And I mean, Patrick Mahomes, an absolute superstar. I mean, the performance he had against the Jets, yes, everybody I know it was the Jets, but 5 touchdowns, no interceptions, 400+ yards. Absolute dominance. I don't see why they don't make a trip back to the Super Bowl this year.
Yeah, those weapons they added to him are just insane. Lev Bell coming over. I think Travis Kelce's going to be the greatest tight end to ever exist, but that may be a hot take. I think he's going to be. I think the Chiefs are just going to roll right to the Super Bowl again. But that brings us to the biggest Super Bowl contender, the biggest surprise in my opinion, and my only A+ grade for these teams. And that's mainly because I gave the offense an A, but their defense is an A++++. You can just keep adding them. And if you do the math, that adds out to an A+. So I think this is Steel Curtain 2.0. I think they are one of the best defenses I've seen in a very long time, leading the league in sacks and tackles for losses. Young studs such as Juju, who's having a down season, but he's still putting up numbers very similar to Chase Claypool, who they both have just under 400 yards, surprisingly. But Big Ben, he's coming back. He's aging. He's very old. He lost a little bit. You can tell at times their offense is a little sluggish. Seems like a lot of running through James Conner, who struggles at times. But if they can get their sluggish offense going faster, then they don't have to rely on their defense to keep bailing them out of games, and that will project them to, I only see them losing maybe 2 for the rest of the season.
Yeah, they got a pretty easy schedule coming up. They don't really have that many competitive games. I think they got the Bills coming up and then the Ravens again. But besides that, the sky's the limit for this team. They've shown it this year, and I don't see why they don't verse the Chiefs in that AFC Championship game and make it competitive even.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure who can stop the undefeated Steelers, but I'm interested to see how long the streak lasts. Well, that's all we have for the midseason grades in the NFL. For Tim Rogers and Evan Lasek, I'm Lexy Leidlein. Thanks for stopping by, and have a great night. Thank you for watching this edition of Penn State Sports Night. If you're a fan of our content, please be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more clips. Also, follow us on Twitter at PSSN TV and on Instagram at PSU Sports Night to keep up with all the action. For all my colleagues, we are Penn State Sports Night.